poetry champion, is our next performer.
Well, I pulled on Trouble's braids. I hid the briars out by the quick mud, straying away from the main roads, passing out wolf tickets. Ha, ha, ha. And I pulled on Trouble's braids. No matter how sweet and angelic we are, we have all experienced trouble. These poems are a sampler platter of the different flavors of trouble. Shoplifters by Mars Sancton details the kinds of troubles we have each day just to get by. In Dear Hip by John Loomis, a troubled teenager faces dire consequences when driving drunk. A troublemaker runs into deeper trouble in Technically It's Not My Fault by John Grantis, and Trouble Just Can't Seem to Leave a Boy Alone in Ray LaMontagne's Trouble. In between, these poems are sweetly seasoned with portions of I Pulled on Trouble's Braids by Tom Waits. You can serve up trouble any way you'd like, but I serve trouble with a capital T. I'd smoke in the freezer among the hook sides of beef, wondering about those shoplifters who wept when the manager's nephew tugged them into his office. He made me such those women. I found 20 cans of tuna fish under the skirt of a mother whose son died in a flash flood out east. Two old sisters emptied beans from within their apron pockets, claiming they were trying to cure rheumatism. I recognized snow drifting across their faces at the door, the way hands snatched out unhesitantly at onions. In those mirrors, everyone stole. Abundant coats again, looking once over each shoulder, while eggs bulged in a mitten. I know, you're really mad, but see, I can explain. I was reading this book about Galileo, and he said that heavier things fall just as fast as lighter things, and I was like, no way, Jose. Heavier things fall faster than lighter things. We know that from Saturday morning cartoons, right? Well, so I decided to do the experiment myself. So I got a huge concrete block from the garage, and I marched my way upstairs, and I placed it on an attic windowsill. Then I opened the fridge, got a tomato from the fridge, and I pranced my way upstairs, and I placed it on that same attic windowsill, and you know, it really, really looked like there was enough room between the side of the house and the car. I mean, really, who knew that I had pulled on Trouble's braids? I lay by suppressed, as quiet as a stone, till the bleeding stopped, that is. I blew the weather vane off some old house, and I built a fire in the skeleton back seat of an old trucker, and you know what I did? Well, I pulled real hard on Trouble's braids. I'm 17. Tunnel vision, drunk driving my father's failing wagon home at 3 a.m. Two-lane road, all curves and dips. You don't see those deer until they turn their heads. Road full of eyeballs, small moons glowing. I cranked the wheel skid and jolted in my car, and I look up, and my lights were angled up at the trees, and I look in the distance, and I see a deer prancing around in a circle because its back legs were paralyzed, dead. And this deer tired, and so I pick this deer up like a bride, and I wrestle it into the side of my car, and I drive away, and you know, something stabs me in my side, and I look in my rear view mirror, and I see this deer has come back to life. Its teeth clamped down on my shoulder. I cried, I struggled, I flailed, until that deer tired and lied still. So I pushed them both out at the same time, and you know, I may have pushed just the teensy-weensy-eensy bit too hard, because The concrete blocks in the hood of the car, but the tomato landed at the exact same time. Boy, did I ever learn a lesson. That's the important thing, right? Well, I shouldn't get any trouble. I mean, technically, it's not my fault. And I pulled on Trouble's braids again. I spanked cold red mud from where a hornet stung deep, and I tossed in a ditch in a restless sleep, and I pulled on Trouble's braids, and I hung my rain-soaked jacket on some old barbed wire. And I poured cold, rusty water on a sad, sad, miserable fire. And I bet you guess what I did. 'Cause I pulled real hard on Trouble's braids. Trouble, 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 trouble keeps dogging on my soul since I was born. Worry, 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 worry just don't seem to leave my mind alone. My father's waiting up. He's had a few drinks, he's pretty angry, and I tell him some of what happened, the dark road, the deer I couldn't avoid. What was I supposed to tell him? That I wasn't thinking, that I injured my head, that I wanted to fix what I had broken, that I wanted to restore the beautiful body. You know, some things stay with you. Dumping that deer's body in the woods like a gangster. The dent in my nose. The trail of ruin I leave. And I pulled on Trouble's braids one last time. The creek was swollen by daybreak, and I could just barely see that I had floated down river on an old sickly tree. And you know what I did? Well, I pulled on Trouble's braids. That's right, I did it. I pulled on her braids. I pulled on Trouble's braids.
Impressive. Let's talk to the head coach of Omaha Brownell Talbot, Chris Hamill, in his 11th year, 5 consecutive Class C2 state championships, 9 events in state speech, 5 interpretive, and 4 public address.
Exactly.
Is poetry, interpretation,